Be still and know that I am God. Wallace D. Wattles, in his book, The Science of Being Great, believed that the formless substance or the divine mind flows through each person most easily when they're relaxed, confident, and at peace. He has a line in his book where he says, "To let God work through you, you must be still and know." In my last video, I talked about how you can do nothing and have a sense of peace and stillness in your heart, take action, and still make progress towards your dreams. I'll link to it below so you can watch it after this one. In this video, I wanted to share my story of when I was still and miracles happened in my life. So a couple of years ago, I left my corporate job. I worked in banking. It was a great job. It allowed working from home, flexibilities, opportunities to rise up the corporate ladder, and all that good stuff, right? But it just wasn't working for me and my family. So, I drop off the kids at before school care. I work all day. The kids go to after school care. Then I rush to catch the train and hope there are no delays because your kids need to eat at 6. Otherwise, it's all downhill from there, right? And then once you're done with dinner, then it's bath time, then it's homework, then it's reading, then it's bedtime. And then if you have any energy left, then maybe you'll have a conversation with your partner. So I was on this hamster wheel for about 2 years, right? Until I realized that I was just in a diminishing returns game. Plus, going to work had actually started to make me feel ill. Like I started to get massive headaches, and I was always so run down. I never had any energy, and there was just no joy. I wanted to leave my job, but I had no backup plan, right? We had about 2 months of savings, and if I left, I wouldn't get a significant payment, right? So if I stayed at the job, I would just get more unhappy, and I realized I was just going to get sicker. So eventually I got so tired, I resigned, right? And God had sent me so many prompts to move on, but I just didn't listen, right? I was so scared. So fast forward, I resigned from my job with no real backup plan. And I'm sitting there trying to determine, okay, so what am I going to do next, right? After quitting my job, I made the decision that I was just not going to panic, because I knew that if I panicked, I would jump from the frying pan straight into the fire. So I sat down and I wrote down what I wanted. I wanted a job where I could work during school hours and still pay the bills. I wanted to drop the kids off. I go to work and I can pick them up when the school bell rings. I had no kind of idea what sort of job would give me that flexibility. But I just decided to surrender it all to God. Let go and let God, as Dr. Joseph Murphy says. So fast forward a few nights after I had written this list and, had a conversation with God, I have a dream where it was Friday night and there was a parent that came and dropped off pizza at our house via Uber deliveries. And I thought, I didn't know that parent did Uber deliveries. Anyway, I woke up from the dream and I thought, I think that's a sign. I think that's a sign from God for me to start doing Uber deliveries, because I can drop off the kids, do the deliveries while they're at school, and then pick them up. I registered on Uber to do deliveries, and part of the requirements were police clearance. And I think it cost $37 to get police clearance. And guess how much was in my bank account? $38.12. So I paid for my police clearance and just went about my business. I think it took about 3 days before I got it. So I uploaded my police clearance onto the Uber platform, and then I just waited for them to complete the registration process. A day or two later, I dropped the kids off at school, and I had to do grocery shopping. So I went to the shop straight after I dropped off the kids. I bought groceries, and I'm loading the groceries into the car, and I get this nudge that I should go around the shopping center and look and see if anybody's looking to hire casual labor and get a casual job. So I figure, okay, well, that's not a bad option either, right? I can pack shelves or something, right? So I load up the groceries into the car and I start walking around the shopping complex asking for a job. It felt so awkward. The first two shops I walked into, right, I was so self-conscious, right? And walking in, asking to see the manager and asking him for a job, the monkey chatter in my head was just off the charts. Kids, look how silly you look walking around the shopping center looking for a job. Oh my God. This is so embarrassing. I can't believe you left banking to come and look for a job packing shelves. Oh my goodness. All of the chatter, the self-doubt, criticism of myself, right? So anyway, by the time I'm walking to the third store, all the monkey chatter had started to die down, but I could still hear it. But I was like, nah, I have to take action. Right, I need to find a job. I need to put food on the table. And as I'm walking around the shopping center, taking actions, right, I felt a sense of calm, right? And I felt like, yeah, well, of course I can find a job, right? This is a big shopping center. There's got to be somebody looking for casual labor. And now, before I get to the third shop, I'm walking around now feeling like, yeah, of course I can get a job. Who doesn't need an extra hand? So I'm going to the third shop and I realize, I need the bathroom, right? Let me pass through, do a quick wee, because the last thing you need is to have an interview. Somebody says, oh yeah, let's have a chat, and then you're busting for a wee. So I go and I use the bathroom. And then on my way back, I realize, oh yeah, there's a notice board here. Let me go and check and see if there are any jobs advertised. Right, so I saw an advert that was looking for a cleaner. And I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I can clean houses while the kids are at school. So you know how people write the numbers at the bottom and you can tear them off? So anyway, all those little pieces of paper had been torn off. So I took out my phone to take a photo, right? And while I'm taking a photo, I noticed a woman coming up to the job board, right? And she sees me taking a photo and she says, oh, are you looking for work? And I'm like, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I've had to change locations because we're home now, and I usually make my videos while I'm in the car waiting for the kids to finish school. So I'll pick up from where I left off. So I'm at the jobs notice board and I notice there is an advert looking for a cleaner to clean houses. But the little tearaway strips with the numbers had all been taken. So I grabbed my phone so I could take a photo. And as I'm taking a photo, I notice a woman walk up towards the jobs notice board. And she sees me taking a photo and she asks, oh, are you looking for work? And I was like, oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I am. And she's like, oh, okay. Because I've got a job going at the moment. I have work within the NDIS, and I'm looking for somebody to work with one of our clients. So NDIS in Australia is like a national disability support system, right? So if you have a disability, you can get funding from the government to support you in living your day-to-day life. So for example, if you've had a stroke, right, and you need physio and you need access to the physio, through the NDIS service, you can hire a service provider to pick you up, take you to your appointment, and then bring you back home. So essentially you are helping people with disabilities to navigate society, right? So doctor's appointments, shopping, tidying up around the house, right? Those sorts of things. So I bump into this lady says to me, "Oh, I'm looking for somebody to help out one of our clients." And so she asked me, "So what sort of work are you looking for?" I was like, "Look, I'm looking for something that's during school hours, right? After I drop off the kids, I can pick up the person, I can work, I think it's like 5 to 6 hours, and then I can go home." So that's the sort of work that I'm looking for. And then she says, "Oh yeah, we could work with that. We have a client who really just requires assistance, mostly in the mornings." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's great." And she says, "You know what? As a matter of fact, we could go meet up with her tomorrow, and I could do an introduction and see if you guys could work with each other." And she says, "Oh, but before you start, I have to make sure you have to do your police clearance first so that I can introduce you to the client." And I turn around and I'm like, as a matter of fact, I actually happen to have a police clearance because I was thinking of Ubering, right, while the kids were at school. And then I was like, is that okay, or do I have to get another police clearance that's specific to this job? And she's like, "No, that's fine at all. Are you available tomorrow?" "Yes, I am." She's like, "Yep, you come along and I will pay you for your time in coming to meet the client. And if you two meet each other and you like each other and you can work with each other, then you can start." How was that for miracles? Wow. The next day I went to the client's house, we met, we liked each other, and I started the very next day. So that's my little miracle. That's my story about my miracle, right? About a time when I didn't know what to do. I was at, yeah. So that's my story. That's my story of my miracle, about when a time when I was still, I asked God for help and he came through. Like I couldn't have planned that any better myself. And it was a good little job, right? I did that job for about a year. No, I should get a tripod. It was a good little job. I did that job for about a year, right? While I was figuring stuff out. So that's my story about the miracles that can happen in your life when you are still and you let go and you let God. So I hope this helps somebody. This has been Kudzai on the road within, and thanks very much for your attention. Till next time.